So let me conclude the arguments. So I was saying two options. One is resign, the other option is impeachment. The challenge with option two is that when you talk about impeachment, you are talking about the National Assembly in Kenya. They would have to vote for or against. So it means that they will take sides in the online debate or the online argument. Now, that is a long way to go because you are looking at election coming up next year. It would add more mess to the table. So there is another third option. What's that third option? I call it sanctions. So in trying to sanction RUTO, it's very simple. You look at some concepts. One of the concepts is that power is linked to privileges. Power is linked to access to funds. See, somebody's powerful, that person has privileges. See, somebody's powerful, that person has access to resources, access to funds. Now, since there is a problem, what's that problem? The president has asked his deputy to resign. The deputy say he will not resign. The president does not have the constitutional powers to sack him. So what do? The president has the power to sack the vice president's allies. So you can't sack the vice president. You can't sack the deputy president. It's the National Assembly that will do that one. But you have the powers to sack the vice president's allies. So why would he be interested in sacking the vice president's allies? It's very simple. Whether you like it or not, the government of Kenya is now a government of factions. That's the truth. Because you are going to be having allies in his government that belong to the deputy function. You are going to be having allies in government that belong to the UHURU Kenyatta faction. So if I am UHURU Kenyatta, I'll call for a meeting of some of my trusted allies and will perform a cleansing operation. In the military, that's what they call it, cleansing operation. It's like cleaning your house. You weed out the threats, you weed out the bad ones, and you leave the good ones inside. When you clean your house, you throw away dirt. When you clean your house, that's what you do. You throw away dirt. And the clean things, they stay in. Now, whether we like it or not, UHURU's team is going to be clashing with RUTO's team. Since it is the same government, you will be having some people in RUTO's team that have access to UHURU's secrets. That's the truth. In government, it's called classified information. In government, it's called top secrets. These guys can use those top secrets to their advantage. RUTO's allies can use those classified information to gain cheap political points. That is the more reason why he should be interested in a cleansing operation. When you fight in wars. Soldiers go to war with this mindset. It's very simple. See, we want to stay alive, we want to win. The only way we can do that is to kill. If we do not kill, we will be killed. It's that simple. So that's the concept. Apply sanctions. Apply sanctions. The essence of applying sanctions is to demobilize RUTO and his allies. The essence of applying sanctions is to neutralize the threats UHURU and his allies pose to his government. So at the end of the day, Uhuru Kenyatta will end up boxing RUTO to a tight corner of submission. The options will not be plenty. That's exactly what Trump did with intellectual assaults. That is exactly what Trump did with economic sanctions that he deployed to highway. The options will become narrow. You narrow it. When you box the opponent in the corner, you narrow his options. See, you cannot be a part of my succession plan. So you have to look elsewhere outside my government. When you look elsewhere outside my government, you'll be looking at the Orange Democratic Party. That is another party that has political relevance. The former Prime Minister of Kenya is the leader of that party. And the truth is that Raila Odinga has his eyes fixed on being president too. So that's what happens when sanctions are applied. That's what happens when the opponent is boxed to a corner. So it's like putting a dog on a leash. See, you can't outrun me. It's like putting a dog on a leash. You can't outsmart me. It's like putting a dog on a leash. You can run faster than the owner. So the bottom line is Uhuru Kenyatta holds the joker. The bottom line is Uhuru Kenyatta holds the ace card. So it's his government. He's in charge. He makes the decisions. So the cleansing operation is simply to prevent RUTO and his allies from gaining cheap or scoring cheap political points against Uhuru Kenyatta. So that's that. You see, things like this happen. And when they happen, you get reminded of the fact that in politics, there are no permanent friends. So if you're having a president that has done almost 8 years in office, it tells you that he went to war, political warfare, with his deputy. They won 2 elections together. So they were friends before. They were allies before. But today, that friendship is now in the eye of the storm. So it tells you that in politics, there are no permanent friends. In politics, Ali and Simbi cannot play together forever. In politics, James and John can't tag along forever. The only thing that lasts forever in politics is interest. So now you're having interest clash in government. Sanctions is the way to go. So in applying sanctions, Uhuru Kenyatta clips the wings of his deputy. He clips it. A bird needs wings to fly. So when you trim the feathers, when you clip the wings, you're nearly saying, I'm putting a dog on a leash. So those are going to be his trajectory. he will box to a corner. He won't be able to achieve his fantasies. He won't be able to realize his ambitions in Uhuru's government, in Uhuru's Kenyatta's administration. You know, power is linked to privileges. Power is linked to access to funds and resources. In sanctioning, he blocks those things. He applies that mindset. If a governor, for instance, gets angry with a king, he has the capacity to block access to funds. Why? Because the financial resources of a king is tied to the state governor. He signs the checks. He approves the disbursements of funds. See, I don't like the king's face. I don't like the traditional ruler's face. So when it's time for the chiefdom to be paid, he uses or exercises influence. See, I don't like the king's face. I don't like the traditional ruler's face. When it is time for the emirates to be paid, he exercises influence. That's the concept of power. Power is linked to privileges. Power is linked to access to resources. So in applying sanctions, those things are blocked. So those are the way Uhuru Kenyatta gets ahead of his rival. Those are the ways Uhuru Kenyatta gets ahead of his competition. So at the end of the day, in the final analysis, even if RUTO is not impeached, he will become like a traditional ruler. At the end of the day, even if Uhuru is not impeached by the National Assembly, he will become like a king. In Nigeria, kings, they are powerless in comparison to state governors. They just bear the title, I am a king. They just perform ceremonial functions. Nigeria, it is the governors that calls the shots. So that was why I was trying to link what is happening in Kenya and the Jubilee Party with the relationship between a governor and a traditional ruler. So when the intellectual assaults are deployed, that is exactly what will happen. Uhuru Kenyatta will be exercising influence as a governor. Why? You will be having the deputy president as a ceremonial traditional ruler, as a ceremonial king. He just bears the name. Vice President RUTO, he just bears the name Vice President or Deputy President RUTO. So those are the moves that can be made on the chessboard to checkmate it. So the eyes of the rival, the eyes of the opponent zooms on the Orange Democratic Party as the other party with political relevance. And apparently, the former Prime Minister of Kenya also has his eyes zoomed on Uhuru's seat. So they'll be talking about forming a political alliance. They'll be talking about forming a political agreement or whatever. But one thing will be sure, his fantasies or the dreams of the deputy president will not be actualized under his government. It's that simple. When Trump became president of America, the greatest tech company in China came up with audacious ambitions. Highway said they have plans to become number one in the global smartphone value chain. Trump deployed sanctions. Trump deployed intellectual assaults. Today, those plans are mere dreams. Today, those plans are merely fantasies. They cannot be actualized. Why? Because of intellectual assaults. It's that simple. So when I say Uhuru Kenyatta has the ball in his court, That's what I mean. He has the capacity to make all the decisions. When I say Uhuru Kenyatta has the ball in his court, that is exactly what I mean. He has the capacity to do the needful. He has the capacity to play the chess well, the way he likes. So at the end of the day, he does the needful. He becomes a fantastic chess player. At the end of the day, he does the needful. He clips the wings of his vice president. At the end of the day, he does the needful. He puts the vice president on a leash like a dog. If you say you want to walk with your dog and you are allowed to move freely on Saturday, especially on the freeway, that dog will outrun you. You'll be shouting, Bruno, come here. Bruno will not hear. He's moving with speed. Bruno, you are running too fast. Bruno will not hear. He's running. Why? Because you allowed Bruno the dog to move freely. But when you put Bruno on a leash, it's different. Bruno tries to outrun you. You hold your leash and you pull him back. Say, Bruno, you can't go there. That's what happens when you deploy intellectual assaults. That's what happens when you deploy sanctions. So the ball, like I said before, is firmly in the court of the president of Kenya. So we'll see how it goes. So the focus now is strike before they strike you. That's the concept soldiers deploy when they go to fight. In their mind, they know they have to kill because they want to win. In their mind, they know they have to kill because they want to stay alive. That's how a soldier thinks. The reason why I kill is because I don't want to be killed. So hopefully, the president of Kenya would win. I don't like thieves. That's why I'm supporting Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't like money launderers. That's why I'm supporting Uhuru Kenyatta. So I pray that Uhuru Kenyatta will win in his fight for his motherland. I pray that Uhuru Kenyatta will win in his fight for Kenya. So it's an online debate. It's getting exciting by the day. You're seeing drama. You're seeing moves. It's politics. That's exactly what politics is. It's a game of chess. The person that wins is not the person that has the biggest muscles or biceps. The person that wins is the person that has a stronger mental capacity. The person that wins is the person that has the capacity to deploy the right tactics, the right policies, the right strategies to get the job done. So let's see how it goes.